Check. Okay, so in this video, I want to kind of show you guys what I recently purchased. This is what we call the Cordoba nylon stage, or just a Cordoba stage. So it's like it's a nylon string guitar that pretty much is for the stage, so doesn't feed back. It's kind of made for people who play classical, but also, for people that are electric players that want to play nylon string. Okay, so just kind of go over the specs here. Okay, so I got this off the Sweetwater website. So let's look at the body. It's a semi-hollow acoustic electric. So what it is this is not like a fully acoustic guitar where the body is kind of like it's like an electric body where it's been chambered out. So the body material is here. Oops. Let's go back. So it's mahogany, right? Top material is solid spruce, flame maple veneer, and the pictures I will show you, you will actually see some of that. It is a gloss finish, and it is, kind of a burst. Next slide. All right. So it says the neck material is a 3-piece mahogany. I guess so. It's kind of hard to tell, honestly. To me, it looks like a 1-piecer. Although we'll check the picture and see if we can see if it is 3 pieces. The next is Cordoba Fusion. I can tell you that yes, I think an electric player could be comfortable with this, but it's still pretty chunky, and it has more like, honestly, more like a classical D shape in a way. So I'm a acoustic nylon string player. I majored in music, like classical guitar. So this feels comfortable to me. I'm at home with this, but I really don't know about like an electric player or an acoustic steel string player. It says Palfaro for your fingerboard, and I think the photo it does show you that. Scale length is a little bit longer than a typical Fender scale, but it's not 25.5, it's 25.6. So it's definitely at home for people that play classical guitar. You definitely, if you have small fingers, it might be kind of tough to play, so you really got to use classical technique, I feel. The nut width is, they say that it is lower, or it is narrower than like a typical nylon string. I gotta say it's probably around the same. Maybe a little bit narrow, but man, it's hard to tell. Nut material is bone, which is nice. So the nut material is bone. Oh no, but we already talked about that. The tuners, they're just typical Cordoba tuners. They work. They work fine. Then the guitar stays in pretty good tune. It's just I've had Cordoba guitars before, and one problem with their tuners is longevity. But I'll probably replace them out sometime sooner or later. Probably once they crap out. All right. Here comes a special part, though. Oops. Is the electronics. So, what's cool about this guitar is you have so it says a body mic, an undersettle transducer, and it says 1 volume, 1 EQ, and 1 blend. So let me kind of turn off this window capture. So, like right here. Okay. So what it is that it has a typical under the saddle transducer, like most acoustic electric guitars. It all has a body sensor. So what's kind of cool is, so here's the volume. This is like an EQ control. So turn all the way up. The highs, get really like pronounced, but it also kind of adjusts the mids also. But right here, if you really want this to sound more, more natural sounding, not just piezo sounding, this is the knob to use. This is a body sensor knob, and it really makes a difference. Really, you can play a lot of different types of music, from classical guitar to flamenco to pop music or whatnot. All right, let's look back at the window capture. All right, so here's a headstock. Looks pretty nice. There's that bone nut. Okay, here's a picture of the fingerboard. So this is the Pal Ferro. What I can tell you about the frets, they actually feel, they're a little bit bigger than your traditional nylon string frets. Which not traditional nylon string frets are on more of the small side, the thin side. This is like a step up from that, but it's definitely not gonna be your medium jumbo or jumbo frets. No. So if you're an electric player, it's gonna feel foreign. And Pal Ferro, to say it looks like rosewood. Maybe rosewood is definitely much more darker or more brownish. Sometimes I think Pal Ferro can look good, but sometimes it's kind of chalky, right? But this top is pretty good. Now, the camera I'm using is not a very good camera, as far as right here, so kind of hard to tell. But this top actually has some what we call chatoyance, so that's kind of cool. It has some movement in the figuring. But right here, took it with my smartphone camera. It's definitely a well figured maple top. They say it's maple top with maple top veneer with a solid spruce top, and to show you that, you'll find out soon. Okay, here's the bottom side. I kind of like the bridge where they kind of routed out this little part here. I think it's a nice touch. Then here are our three knobs. We talked about it, right? Volume, EQ, and then the body knob. I like to say it's sort of like your bass control, but it has more to it because it also activates another sensor. Here's like a side profile of the tuners. So these tuning gears are pretty decent. These feel kind of cheap though. They're definitely just plastic, made to look like wood. Typical Cordoba. Okay, now here's the back of the neck. It has nice figuring. Now it's kind of hard to tell if it's like a 3-piece neck, honestly, because look at this. You have these kind of figuring. And if it's a 3-piece neck, there's a piece here and then a middle piece and then another piece, right? But I don't see that unless I think what it is. So here, let me turn off the window capture. So I think what it is that this neck part isn't 3-piece like your typical laminated electric. What it is, because this kind of is like a Les Paul, right? So I think what it is that there are 3 pieces. So there's your tenon part right here, your tenon part, that's one piece. This whole neck part's one piece. I believe it's it's a scarf joint. So there's gonna be another piece for your headstock, right? So that's 1, that's 2, and 3, and I'm okay with that because that is it's not typical traditional classical construction, but I mean I'm okay with it. Either way, it's still pretty solid. Oh, and let me go back to the photos. think it's in the headstock. Yeah, if you look right there, truss rod adjustment, really neato. Um, okay, here's the backside. That's some pretty good looking mahogany, I would say. It's although I don't think it's like traditional like. Well, of course, it's not going to be Honduran mahogany. It's gonna be way too expensive, and I don't think you can even get it nowadays. But some kind of a derivative, I think. Um, maybe sapele could be. I don't know. It's nice. It looks like a nice piece of wood, right? And one final photo is I opened up the cavity cover, and it's just this is teamed up with Cordoba and Fishman. So if you ever see any kind of Fishman like products, from like the Acoustasonic, the Fender Acoustasonic, to like just any like of like their like Fender stuff, like even like the electric guitar like pickups, the fluences, they like to use PCB boards like this, and this is like no exception right here. It looks exactly like how Acoustasonic inside looks sort of, and to prove that this definitely is a spruce top. I mean, look at that. Look at that blonde wood, right there. That's completely, totally spruce. Now, when I checked the grain pattern of this, it's pretty white grain, so it's not the best like spruce top. Yeah, and why should it be, right? Because it's covered by the veneer. So, but it's at least it's solid. Okay. So we have that. All right. So enough of those kind of details. Let's see how it sounds. Just acoustically by itself, no electronics. So you notice it does have like these like sound holes right here, right? So here, let me strum some chords and I'll play some finger picky stuff. Okay, here we go. Camera a little lower. Okay. Here's some finger picky stuff. So there we go. So it's definitely not loud acoustically, and it shouldn't, because if it's acoustically loud, you'd have some feedback problems. So that's not what this is meant for. But it's perfect for like, in bedroom. Just kind of like if you want to like practice, acoustically, without bothering people. That's perfectly fine. I would say it's sort of like on par with like the Taylor T5. I would say. But I would say the Acoustasonic, like Telecaster, is actually more acoustically more alive than this guitar. But that's neither here nor there. Okay, so now let's activate the electronics. So my setup right here. Okay, sorry about that. My battery was dead. Kind of weird because this guitar barely came out. You never know. It comes from factory. They might just have old batteries, like almost dead batteries. So okay, anyways. So I'm using a little wireless dongle thing, and I'm going straight into a positive grid Spark 40 under acoustic setting. Okay, so it sounds. do, I'll turn down. I'm gonna turn down the body sensor knob and turn up the EQ all the way, and this is how it sounds with some finger picking. Here we go. So it's that typical quacky piezo sound. You know, some people like that. Not personally for me. Not really there. Let's sort of adjust the EQ. So I'm gonna turn it down about 75%. That's how it sounds. Sounds a little more pleasant, a little less high end. Still has what I like to call the quackiness. Let's turn down about 50%. Here we go. And honestly, I think 50% would probably be where I typically would put an acoustic electric, piezo only guitar. This is like no exception, honestly. Just perfect for the solo kind of instrumental stuff, right? So that's fine. Okay, let's try this. I'm gonna turn the EQ all the way back up. Then I'm gonna take this knob, and then I'm gonna turn that. I don't know, about 25%. See where that gets us. So first, without the body sensor. About 25% with the body sensor. That's pretty amazing. It's like, without even touching the EQ per se, I just turn on the body sensor and man, that thing like really warms up nicely. It has less of that kind of quackiness of just only the piezo, which is nice. So let's see if I can. Can't really hear where their body sensor is. But you can hear where that piezo is. That body sensor. Let me see. Let's turn it all the way up. Oh. Wow, you can definitely hear the tapping now, can't you? At least I can. It's translate to the amp, which is cool. Which means that will translate to your recording. Yeah. So, okay, let's go from 25. Let's go to 50%. So that's how it sounds. So starting getting some of that, almost like a mic'd acoustic-y kind of quality. Still some snap from the piezo. So in that case, I'll just turn down the piezo a little bit, the EQ, and see where that gets us. A little bit better, maybe a little more. So I think I like that. Well, let's compare that to with no body sensor again. Now body sensor 50%. Yeah, so that body sensor really adds an extra dimension to the sound. It just something a piezo can never deliver. Just amazing. Now let's turn up 75%. See what that sounds like. Now it's getting maybe a little too bassy for my taste. So let me adjust the treble all high, all the way up. That's a little bit better. Now all the way up. I can see why they put that solid spruce top and a veneer, because I think they did the veneer to make it look more like I don't know, something like a Les Paul. Honestly, it sort of reminds me of a Taylor T5 in a certain way, because they sort of do that, but they don't do a laminated maple. In fact, they do a solid maple top. Um, but I like how they have a spruce, which is more traditional acoustic guitar wood, and they use that solid wood for the contact mic, so that kind of makes it more authentically acoustic, in my opinion. I think that's what they're going for. And not the fact that you get those taps. So if you're one of those acousticy tappy type people, that's kind of cool. But I think it probably could work pretty well with like flamenco. The only thing is, when I turn all the way the body knob, it's a little too dark for flamenco. So I think what I have to do is turn down the body sensor a little bit. So you get enough tapping. It might not translate to the video because I'm just using a built-in mic. But if I were in a recording situation, this would probably work pretty good. So it'd be like. So hopefully that comes out pretty good in the recording. So what would I say about this guitar? Who's it for? Well, honestly, it could be for anybody. If you're steel string acoustic, I think you'll be fine at this. For sure, classical guitar players, I think they would enjoy this neck. It probably wouldn't feel too foreign to them. Although with the traditional classical necks, like the radius is just flat. This one has a little radius, but I mean it's pretty flat. It's like 16 inches. 16 inches is pretty flat, so that's not a problem there. But I don't know about you guys, but I think that neck. Look at the neck. It is pretty fat. I think electric guitar players. Maybe if you're like a telly player, you might like this, but shredders and stuff, I don't know. I really don't know if they like it or not. Maybe they might like the profile though, because it does sort of have like a D-shaped profile. So shredders tend to like D-shaped profiles. But the thing that maybe shredders might not like is can't really see if you can see that well, but the action. Well, for me, it's comfortable. I think for the average electric guitar player, the action might be a little too high. Now, I thought it might be a truss rod thing, but I did the tap test, and it could use a little truss rod adjustment. But honestly, it's almost the thickness of a business card, which is what people like. So that's not really it. Could be the neck angle that might be causing it. I mean, I guess you could sort of adjust it with the saddle height, stuff like that. But For me, it works. So I think for your typical classical player, at least for this guitar, the action is okay. It's pretty good. But I know for sure for like electric guitar players, yeah, it's gonna be kind of tough. It's gonna be, you're not gonna play Polyphia on this, right? What's that song, Playing God or something like that? It's like, no, I don't think you're gonna. But for just traditional classical stuff, flamenco stuff, it's fine. Um, and I'll make more videos on this. See how it sounds, when it comes to like maybe just strum and hum, that kind of stuff. I think it would work pretty well. I mean, considering all the electronics are very versatile, um, yeah, it shouldn't be too bad. So look forward to more videos. Come soon.